Hello and welcome to Turkey Today, a part of the video series by freeturkishpress.com. Today, our subject is again the Turkish elections and the second leg as Turkey approaches, what it offers us, what can be said and what can be argued about this. My guest is joining me from Istanbul, Professor Emre Erdogan, International Relations from Bilgi University. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.
Okay, let's start with the basic question. What's your take about the results of the first leg of the elections?
Yeah, totally surprising. Yeah, we had different surprises, especially when we look at the results of the parliamentary elections. We observed that the governing party, AK Party, didn't lose a big support. Yeah, they got about 35%, something like that. Of course, they lost 7 percentage points, but yeah, it's not a big loss. And on the other hand, its minor partner, Ultranationalist National Action Party, won about 10%. Yeah, before elections, everybody expected that these elections will be the last elections for Bahçeli and his party, but it didn't happen. They kept their popular support compared to 2018 elections. That's the surprise at the parliament. And we also observed that the support for the Kurdish political movement is not so high. It's only 8%. And most of it's because of the withdrawal of the strategic votes given at the previous elections. But yeah, we don't know how it will happen in the next elections. On the other hand, at the presidential elections, results were also surprising because there was an expectation about a first round victory of Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, especially after the withdrawal of Muharrem İnce in Thursday, 3 days ago, 3 days before the election.
For our viewers, Muharrem İnce was the third candidate who pulled out at the latest stage. So that's for the information.
Yeah, people thought that supporters of Muharrem İnce would vote for Kılıçdaroğlu and Kılıçdaroğlu would win. And some polls, they also supported these expectations, but it didn't happen. Erdogan, despite all this economic crisis, pandemic, and the earthquake, etc., all these negative events didn't affect his support, and he got about 50%, almost 50%, which will bring him a first round victory. But at the end of the day, we will have a second round, and we will see what will happen.
Proponents and supporters of the opposition bloc in Turkey, and some of them outside, were very enthusiastic about the prospective loss of Erdogan already in the first leg, also in the second leg as well, I suppose. Their argument was that Turkey would be exemplary for the world to oust an autocrat by elections, which doesn't seem to happen. History basically seems to repeat itself. That's one point. But many people, along with this, I think, are still wondering and perplexed about as to how and why Erdogan, despite the deepening economic crisis and the massive earthquake disaster, could still maintain the vote and support. What is your explanation to that?
Simply, polarization helped him. Yeah, Turkey is a very polarized country. The society is divided among 3 blocks, 40%, 40%, and the rest.
Are we talking about identity politics, divides across the identities?
Yeah, a kind of identity politics, because in Turkey, partisanship became the identity. Yeah, that's why if you are voting for AK Party, it's becoming your identity. You are looking at the world from this lens. And if you are voting for the opposition, you have a different identity, and it's a typical clash between different identity. Generally when we are talking about politics, we think that political parties are the servants of people. If you are satisfied with that party, you are voting for that party, and if you are not satisfied, you are changing your vote. But as it's becoming a kind of identity politics, it's not easy to leave your identity. It's becoming a kind of football fandom. You cannot leave your football team. You are supporting the Beşiktaş or Galatasaray because you are supporting it. It's not easy to quit this fandom. That's why this polarization helped Erdogan. Because if your party choice becomes your identity, you are using these lenses. For example, you are using a kind of double standards. You are evaluating your politicians by using different criteria, and you are evaluating other politicians by using different criteria. And always in-group favoritism stands there. And this media has an important role because in Turkey, media also is polarized. We have a pro-government media and we have an opposition media, and we don't have mainstream or middle field media. That's why if you are watching the government-supported TV channels and if you are reading government-supported newspapers, etc., you are being exposed to a different world, much more optimistic, of course, and much more different than the world viewed by the opposition newspapers or media. That's why opposition and government supporters, they are living in different worlds and they are interpreting what's happening from different perspectives. For some people, government is very successful in the earthquake zone. Okay, they failed to intervene early, but it wasn't impossible because it was the disaster of the center, for example. That's the narrative told by government-supported TV channels. On the other hand, some people think that government failed totally, and they think that everybody will punish the government because of this failure, but they are living in different worlds. They don't share the same world. That's why it's not easy to communicate. The issue was same in terms of economics. Okay, we had economic problems and we had inflation, exchange rates, fluctuations, etc., etc. But the government supporters think that these economic problems, they are not because of the policies of the government. They are because of external factors such as external enemies or some opportunists in the market. They are trying to exploit ordinary people. This is the narrative told by TV shows in government-supported TV channels. And that's why they are attributing the responsibility of these economic problems to other factors, and that's why they don't punish the government or Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Shortly, polarization happened.
Also, the optical distortions, especially causing euphoria in the opposition camp in pre-elections period, may have, according to some people, caused by the inflation of pollsters and also deviative results conveyed by the pollsters. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, we have a problem in this field or sector. Yeah, polling, especially election polling, is something serious. It should be regulated. Yeah, because people are using results provided by this pollster to decide. They can change their votes. They can vote for that party or any party based on the result of this polls. That's why everywhere this sector is regulated. And for example, in the US, American Market Association has strict regulations about this issue. SOMAR, the International Institution of Pollsters, they have also that kind of regulations. And in Turkey, we have that kind of regulations. It's not an unregulated sector, but yeah, in Turkey, as there is a demand for that kind of information, people are providing a lot of information, and we don't know, we have no idea about their qualities or their accuracy. I'm not talking about the accuracy of their estimations. I'm talking about the accuracy of their business, how they are collecting data, how they are drawing their samples, how they are analyzing, how they are reporting. There are too many questions. And that's why there is a kind of dirtiness in the polling business in Turkey.
That brings us to our final question, Mr. Erdogan. That is the second leg, of course, 28th of May, and what it will show us for the future course of Turkey in its centennial. If you speak to if I do speak to some of my skeptical colleagues and academics, one of them did, offer me some analogy. He said, if there's a match between Fenerbahçe and Beşiktaş, the 88th minute, Beşiktaş is just back with 0-6, and Beşiktaş supporters are still very enthusiastic about bringing home the game. I think that was a striking example. If you think that Beşiktaş is the opposition camp, that is one thing. That's analogy is there, and I think that is exposed against the ongoing non-reflection on the opposition camp, which is very easy to observe. There are no reflections, no reckoning of what has gone wrong, but still we are proceeding towards the second leg. And what is your take? What is your prediction about what will happen, realistically speaking, and what to expect from 29th on?
It's not easy to make a clear estimate. First of all, we cannot conduct any poll. Yeah, it's not easy to conduct polls now. Yeah, that's why we cannot rely on poll. There are three possibilities. First, government can win. Erdogan can win by getting 0.5% of votes. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Because, they are continuing to campaign their campaigns, and as I observed, they were ready for the second leg. They quickly launched their campaigns. They bought a lot of after advertisement. They don't conduct any meetings, but Erdogan is everywhere. That's why it's something they were ready. Second option, the government, the opposition can win, and through different ways. First, they can try to increase voting turnout, which is already 87%. That's high. It's not easy to move it to 91% or 92%. 87 is high and is one of the highest scores. They can attract non-voters to vote for them. Secondly, they can try to attract some voters from the government camp. It's almost impossible because, as I observed, they prefer to launch a kind of culture wars. They are focusing on gender issue. They are focusing on religiosity. They are attacking to Hüdapar, etc., etc. They kicked off a kind of culture war. And by using this culture war, we cannot attract any conservative from the AK Party side. Thirdly, they can try to attract some voters from Sinan Oğan's, the third candidate, and that's why they shift to a clear anti-immigrant rhetoric. And it's not easy because first, Sinan Oğan, we have no idea about the composition of supporters of Sinan Oğan. It's very new. We couldn't observe him before the elections. That's why we have no idea about the composition of his supporters. We assume that they are nationalist, meaning that they are anti-Kurdish and they are anti-immigrant. Opposition cannot play this first card, anti-Kurdish card, because HDP, the Kurdish political movement, is indirectly supporting Kılıçdaroğlu. That's why it's not easy to use this card, but as I observed, they started to use these anti-immigrant sentiments. But I'm not sure that there's a potential for this card. Of course, in Turkey, there is a high level of anti-immigrant sentiment. 8% of population, they don't like them, they don't love them. There is that kind of antipathy towards Syrians, not only towards Syrians, but also Arabs and any other people from the Middle East. But if this potential could be fruitful, the victory party of Ümit Özdağ, a real populist, a real person who has a clear anti-immigrant position, could use it. And you observe that he failed to get about 2%, something like that.
2.2. 2.2.
2.2, yeah. I'm not sure that there is a huge potential in this country in terms of anti-immigrant issue, not because we are very benevolent persons, because we have some other problems. And it is not easy to connect these problems with the existence of Syrians in this country.
That brings us to the conclusion. Interesting perspective coming. We are approaching on May 28th, which will define many things, also the course of Turkish Republic in its centennial. Thank you for this interesting conversation, Professor Emre Erdogan.
Thank you.
My guest for Turkey today was from Bilgi University, International Relations, Professor Emre Erdogan. These conversations will continue as we approach to the elections. Thank you for listening and watching.